Hi, it's Ray here. It's great to see you. I asked recently, following the launch of the Sony A1 Alpha mirrorless camera, if Nikon should similarly beat its technological chest with an 8K video-capable camera. I wrapped up that chat with the rumor that Nikon was already well along the way to releasing its own flagship mirrorless camera, and that it would almost certainly include advanced video functions including 8K video recording. Nikon had already telegraphed that they were serious about investing heavily in their mirrorless Z series cameras with improved video performance and features in particular. We now know with certainty, thanks to an exclusive DP review interview with Keiji Oishi, Department Manager of Nikon's Imaging Business Unit, UX Planning Department, that Nikon will soon release a professional-grade mirrorless camera that will, to quote Mr. Oishi, surpass the D6, its present flagship DSLR. Incidentally, I noticed the guys over at DP Review, Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake, have stolen this fireside chat idea. It's a Canadian thing, eh? This announcement is quite an exciting prospect, and it shows that Nikon is not about to be left in the digital dust of Canon's R5 or Sony's A1. Nikon's entry into the elite mirrorless camera market, call it the Z8 or whatever, I think they should go with Z1, which would cover all the bases. It has the advantage of those other manufacturers' cameras' features already revealed. So Nikon knows how high the bar is, and I think they'll clear it. My interest and understanding really only focuses on camera technology in so much as I like to understand what the space age stuff can offer my image making practice. So what is this high resolution stacked CMOS sensor that's apparently been developed for this soon to be released camera? Well, I guess that's proprietary info. It will, I think, open up more potential for electronic shutter. Faster sensor scanning would mean less, maybe even elimination of shutter distortion, aka rolling shutter, and blackout during burst mode. The ability to grab frames from high resolution video, stuff like that, to draw on my broad technical knowledge in such things. I recall some years back this very prediction from, I can't remember who, but that video cameras and still cameras would eventually merge, and so that would change the whole way that we look at taking photographs. And now we're not far away from that. So what will it be? 45, 50 megapixels? We don't know that yet. As I briefly mentioned in my last fireside chat on this topic, computational photography is going to play a big part in future camera development. And Oishi acknowledged that phone cameras, with their ease of use, have habituated people to the convenience of mobility, using phones to process and share photos and video. I know I find that useful, and Nikon has taken note. But dedicated cameras, at least at this point, win in the areas of image quality, low light, and optical performance. With the new Z mount's potential, enabled by its wide flange and close sensor distance, Nikon has already made its mark with lenses it's released so far for the Z cameras. Certainly the best I've ever used. And the roadmap has scheduled new additions to total 30 lenses by the end of, I think, 2022, in spite of COVID disruptions and whining from people with first world problems. I own 3, and they're the best lenses I've ever used, including the best from Schneider and Leitz, with amazing corrections and near elimination of chromatic aberration. For video, the minimization of focus breathing is a real advantage. Compared to dedicated cinema lenses, they're also a bargain. This fast development in hybrid cameras, related gear and software, which goes back what? Like less than 10 years? It's had an amazing effect on what we're seeing on screens, big and small. It's really an exciting time for creators in the field as well as consumers of visual media. Phones aren't capable at this point of replacing a dedicated camera, and many would say that hybrid cameras aren't a replacement for dedicated cinema cameras either. And no argument for me there. But the professional hybrid camera is an important market segment. There's money to be made, and Nikon knows that it has to compete in that market. It's also a matter of pride. Nikon, I think, will bring together R&D in this area to make sure it can hold its head high. Now, how much will this promised flagship cost? Well, the D6 is $6,500 US, it's $8,500 Canadian, and the same as the A1. So Nikon will probably price its offering similarly. Now, I wasn't exactly clear in the last video on this subject if I'd be in the market for something like this camera. I did explain that 8K is attractive in terms of editing for a 4K timeline in order to use cropping, panning, zooming and such. I do that presently with 4K on a 1080p timeline. And that's the practical reason for high resolution, as Mr. Oishi mentioned. For stills and video, high resolution gives the freedom to crop and in video approximate camera movements. And when it comes to stills, the ability to crop is the reason I'm holding on to my 38 megapixel D800. I also spoke about the challenges of high resolution 8K in terms of processing and storage. Even 4K poses significant costs in that area. Even so, I've already taken the plunge in terms of higher bitrate and color depth with the purchase of an Atomos Ninja 5 recorder. And the idea of 8K external, Apple ProRes RAW, wow, that sounds delicious, even if I haven't made the leap into RAW myself yet. Personally, I've never owned a flagship camera of any brand. Rather than Nikon F cameras, I stuck with the FMs. My DSLRs have all been chosen from the quadruple DX and triple digit FX models. In film days, the body was basically a film transport device, and I never felt I was missing anything by putting my money into glass rather than bodies, even when bodies could last a decade or more. Comparatively, bodies are more disposable today, but cameras have become computers, and computational photography advances at leaps, and I think is about to bound into the future. Might we see Nikon throw down the gauntlet in that space? Or literally in outer space, since it's already invested in robotics as well. One thing is for sure, the Nikon flagship will be built to withstand professional use with good weatherproofing and a very rugged body. I wonder if it'll have a built-in grip. If so, it'll be a larger camera, I think. Smaller perhaps than a traditional DSLR, but personally I'd like to see a grip as an option, since I stopped using grips about 4 years ago, to save on size and weight. It'll certainly feature dual card slots. I think it's pretty clear, at least to those of us who have made the transition. Well, I still have that one DSLR, the Nikon D800, which I'd better sell while it's still worth anything. I think it's clear that mirrorless is the future of dedicated cameras, and that they will be hybrids. Apologies to those who complain, I don't need video. The Z6 II and 7 II have demonstrated that Nikon has listened to its devotees, and sales on those have been brisk, which it probably disappoints those who predicted Nikon's imminent demise. With this announcement, we can see that Nikon is all in with mirrorless, and the Z mount, if it wasn't clear already. I haven't moved to upgrade one of my Z6s, which I bought based more on video specs than anything else. Mainly because, for my use, I've been pretty happy with the first generation of these cameras. And I've been waiting to see what they'd announce in regard to a top-of-the-line Z mount. Will I finally hoist a flagship Nikon? Well, I'm still on the fence, says my bank statement. To prove it's not merely clickbait, to answer the question contained in the title of this video, yes. About to drop? Imminent? Well, we're going on 3 months into the year, so I can say with some certainty that the gestation of Nikon's new baby will be less than 9 months. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss new content. Oh, and I'll put a link down below, so check out DP Review's little fireside chat. Take care. We'll see you later.